What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today you're seeing the footage that I have for Cyberpunk 2077. It's basically their gameplay reveal that was actually dropped sometime around 2018, August 27th. Now, the reason I bring this up, and for us that are Gotham Knights fans, is because obviously this is not something that, we can take too lightly. We have to look back and look at history and, in a sense, not let it repeat itself, especially with a game that we're excited for. Now, what I'm trying to do in this video is to temper down excitement. For most of us, Gotham Knights is kind of like our bread and butter. We're looking forward to the game. There's so many things going on. And if you remember that Cyberpunk 2077 reveal video, it was quite interesting because this is actually the game. This is basically, a game playthrough from the exact game that was released. And the issue, though, that I wanted to highlight was, I think when this was shown to everybody, there was so much excitement in the, in the interwebs. The video has 22 million views. And I remember how much everybody was excited about just what they had seen. There was so much that was going on. But here's the thing, though. You see, when these gameplay reveals eventually make their way to the audience, I guess there's one thing we don't necessarily pay attention to, and that's optimization. Cyberpunk 2077 released in a very good state on PC. I remember getting it on PC, and I had a very smooth experience. But those who played the game on PlayStation 4 had a lot of issues. The game's optimization was so poor that Sony had to actually temporarily unlist it from the Sony PlayStation Store. This is a very, very huge deal because this game was one of the most anticipated games to come out. And if you notice, there are a lot of similarities with the anticipation. Gotham Knights is also a very highly anticipated game. It may not be the most anticipated game, but it's interesting that I'm seeing some similarities. Now, with Cyberpunk, we already got about 40-something minutes of gameplay. With Gotham Knights, we even have way less. We had about 7 minutes or 8 minutes of gameplay. Now, why am I making these comparisons? Why am I pointing these things out? I'm pointing these things out because very soon we're going to be seeing a lot of reveals. We're going to be seeing a lot of showcases. If you look at the game schedules that are coming up, it appears to me that we're going to be having a lot more video game exposure this year compared to 2020 and 2021. I think the audience is going to be ready for new details about different games. In fact, you saw the state of play. It was basically designated to just one game. I'm almost thinking in my mind that whenever the event comes around to showcase Gotham Knights more, there's going to be a longer event to kind of show people what this game is about in much more deeper extent. In that whole scenario, I'm trying to appeal to fans that we temper down our expectations and wait till we see the final product. You see, Gotham Knights, in my opinion, I think, and I said this a long time ago, may have been produced to a large extent. As of the time they were showing us this gameplay, because this is actually a piece of the game, you are going to play this particular sequence. The creative director basically said that this is about a dozen or so hours into the storyline. It's into Barbara's storyline or story progression. I think those were the words he used. And so what we have to be looking out for is the optimization. I think this game is very ambitious. I look forward to it because it's a big game. And now that we're still having supply chain issues or even people's, buying confidence, not necessarily where it needs to be, because if you think about it, there really has not been too many, 100% solid, current gen games. Remember when they always said, oh, we're going to be releasing, these games on next gen and all this stuff. Right now, many of the games are releasing everywhere. They're releasing either on PlayStation and PC, or they're releasing on, PS5 and Xbox Series X, or maybe they're just exclusives, and that's basically all it is. And many people don't necessarily want to play exclusives in that sense, because exclusives are usually niche. So I'm looking at Returnal, I'm looking at Ratchet and Clank, and I'm looking at, say, maybe if you even wanted to give it to them, Demon Soul Remastered, but that isn't remaster. I mean, if you've already beaten the original Demon Soul, it's optional to play that new game because it's just basically the same game. So I'm looking at this and saying to myself, I would love to see a lot more, but at the same time, I would want to make an educated guess, because or an educated decision in that sense, because if you look at the way Cyberpunk 2077 rolled out, and I hate to do the comparison, I'm not comparing, nor am I saying that this is going to be a Cyberpunk 2077 incident. No, 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 no. That's not, I hope I'm not misunderstood in that light. I'm saying that these showcases have the tendency to scale out of hand and have expectations that are way high up there. I think that's what basically happened to Cyberpunk 2077. Now, the experience in Cyberpunk 2077, nonetheless, though, was marketed in one form, in a sense. I think people just expected stuff. And then there's another thing that is a key aspect of the entire, ecosystem of the game, and that was the closed reveal gameplay sequence for the game. Now, many of you may not know, I think it was in E3 of 2018 or so that they took the press in at E3 and they showed them a gameplay that was being controlled by a developer of the game. And many of the press people, including individual YouTubers, that usually do video game commentary, very popular ones, were actually in this event. If you guys remember, somebody actually recorded the audio for this event. I don't know if you guys remember that. And so it was one big, huge fiasco, but the response from those who were inside this particular recording was very huge. They said, this game is awesome, this game is amazing, but they were shown a piece of the game that was actually being very well controlled. And, in a sense, everything about it was kind of, I don't know, it was well dressed up, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that the press was not being honest about it in that sense. I'm saying that what you're seeing is, the press was actually shown something that looked very cool and they came out and gave their opinions. I would hate for us to actually have that happen with this game. In fact, I would prefer that this game in the showcase, they make all of those showings kind of public, because we've already seen some gameplay, and then they can start talking about the modifications or whatever goals they may have in mind. But I wanted to go ahead and point this out because it's very critical in today's world that we get to see, all of this stuff. And this game right now looks like it's being played. I don't know if it's being played on a PC or on a PS5, but even when you're looking at the game, you can still say there are a few, I don't know, maybe it's the video quality, or maybe it's just the way the game is loading the levels and stuff. I feel that this game, at the time this was shown, was still going through optimization. And now that they've, brought a release date to mind, I think that optimization is probably winding down for it to be able to play on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. This is a big part of game development, and I'm hoping that they actually nail it down by the release of this game. So thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. How are you going to approach any future reveals for Gotham Knights? I know it sounds like I'm putting a damp on the hype, but with the huge delay, I think we need to call for caution. We need to call for realistic expectations so that we don't go in there extremely hyped, and then whenever something like this falls short of our expectations, we're disappointed. I want us to go in with a fair mind. I want us to go in with with an open mind in that sense, and that we can basically glean and enjoy the game for what it is. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.